Reboots are a touchy subject. Some people think they are a good idea, others think it's a bad idea and people should just focus on original content. Personally, I'm in between. Original content and ideas are awesome, but there's nothing wrong with a good reboot. I just think reboots get so much hate because more often than not, they tend to be pretty bad, and people who love the original get angry because they feel like it's damaging the property they love. Not all reboots are bad though, and when done right, can breathe new life into an old franchise. Some great examples of amazing reboots are the Ninja Turtles and Voltron reboots, and of course the amazing reboot of the DuckTales cartoon. Watching that rebooted show, you can tell the people working on it really care about the franchise, and while watching it, it got me thinking, Disney has plenty of other amazing cartoon shows that I love, and I would love to see rebooted with the same care and love as DuckTales, so I decided to make a list. This is my top 10 list of Disney cartoons I think deserve a reboot. 10. X-Men the Animated Series. Okay, yes, X-Men the Animated Series was not a Disney cartoon, but Disney owns Marvel and the X-Men, so it technically makes X-Men a Disney property. The X-Men have had several cartoons, the last two shows being Wolverine and the X-Men in 2009 and the X-Men anime in 2011, but we haven't had anything since then. Now, I don't just want a revival of X-Men the Animated Series, I just want a good X-Men cartoon. Right now, Disney has Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, and a Spider-Man cartoon, which actually they just ended their Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series, and Spider-Man is getting a new rebooted cartoon series. But there are no current plans for a Team X-Men cartoon. FXX is working on a solo Deadpool cartoon, but that doesn't count in my opinion. The X-Men are one of Marvel's biggest properties, and they deserve another cartoon series. So Disney, you need to get with Fox and make whatever deal you need to do to get the rights back, or at least you can make a joint X-Men cartoon. I don't care what it takes, just do it. 9. Tron Uprising. This show was set between the original Tron movie and its sequel, Tron Legacy. The show centers around a program named Beck, rebelling against the series villain, Clue, and being trained in taking up the mantle of Tron in order to battle Clue and his evil forces. The series is good. It has a great story and characters, and the amazing visuals are different from any other CG cartoon out there. It even won several awards for design and art direction. It was well received and had a good audience at first, but as it went on, the audience greatly shrunk and the series was cancelled after one season. That really sucked, but the worst part is it ended on a cliffhanger, so fans never got a resolution to the series. I doubt it's making a comeback anytime soon, especially since Star Wars Rebels has a similar plot, but still, I would love for this show to get some kind of revival. I know that's not the same as a reboot, but just give me this one. Fine, they can have a revival movie to end the series, or one more season, and then they can reboot it. 8. Kim Possible. This series follows Kim, just your average girl who goes on missions around the world fighting evil and helping people, with the help of her best friend Ron Stoppable and his naked mole rat, Rufus. This cartoon was a lot of fun and had some pretty good action scenes. This cartoon is another Disney classic with many great characters, from Kim and Ron to their villains Dr. Draken and Shigo, which Shigo and Kim had some awesome fights. The show just has this great timeless concept that can easily work today like it did when it first came out. Really, it would just be great to see Kim and Ron go on new adventures. 7. Aladdin the Animated Series. I'm normally not a fan of cartoons based off of animated movies. While there are good ones out there, more often than not, they tend to be bad and don't capture the spirit of the original movie or add anything good to the franchise. However, Aladdin the Animated Series is definitely one of the good cartoons based off of an animated movie. The show follows Aladdin, Jasmine, and the Genie, going on adventures of slapping threats to the kingdom. It was a really great show that captured the personality of the characters and the feel of the movie, and they had some great adventures and villains, like the time they met Hercules and my favorite villain, Mechanicles. There's a lot they could do with a reboot, like having an overarching story involving Aladdin's dad, the King of Thieves, or they can meet other Disney characters on their travels around the world. Really, the possibilities are endless, as the series has a lot of potential.
6.
Pepper Ann. This show was about a quirky girl named Pepper Ann dealing with teenage problems and troublesome situations she will get herself in. The show was very comedic, but at the same time had a more realistic feeling compared to other Disney cartoons. While Kim Possible was going on adventures around the world, Pepper Ann was dealing with Zid's divorce and death. In many ways, it was ahead of its time. A reboot of the show would be great, as you can see Pepper Ann tackle issues kids her age face today, such as cyberbullying. Pepper Ann is just a fun, quirky character, and it would be great to see her and her friends get into hijinks and dealing with problems in a more modern era.
5.
Fillmore. Now this is an underrated cartoon show, which follows Cornelius Fillmore and Ingrid Third, middle school safety patrol officers who go around solving crimes. It's pretty much a parody of cop shows where some big crime is committed, like test scores being stolen or someone drawing all over the bathroom walls. It's taken someone seriously, like they are real police officers, but it works and it's hilarious and awesome. This show is perfect for a reboot, as a newer version can parody newer crime dramas like Criminal Minds, NCIS, or any of the many gimmicky crime dramas out there. There's just a lot of new material it could parody and make fun of for an entirely new series. This show is ripe for a reboot, and if handled well, would be amazing.
4.
Darkwing Duck. This is another parody cartoon, this time parodying superheroes. The show follows Darkwing Duck, a superhero crime fighter who is a parody of The Shadow and several other superheroes. He fights supervillains and other criminal masterminds, and raises his daughter in his civilian identity. We are currently in a superhero boom, with a ton of superhero shows on TV, and DC and Marvel releasing multiple superhero movies every year. So if there was ever a time to reboot Darkwing Duck, it would be now. Like Fillmore, it also has a lot of new material it could parody. It's starting fresh, they can improve upon an already great show by adding new villains and mythos to the character. Like many of the shows on this list, a good reboot would do wonders for the franchise. And I mean, they might as well, since they already said he will be making a cameo in the new DuckTales cartoon.
3.
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. This is a cartoon where Chip and Dale start a detective agency and go around solving crimes and mysteries with their awesome friends Gadget, Monterey Jack, and Zipper. The concept was taken from the Rescuer movies, but it works. Small creatures solving big crimes. This show made me love Chip and Dale, and I would absolutely love a reboot of this show, if for nothing else, just so I can buy merchandise based off the show. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. No, really, the show has a great concept, and with a reboot, we could see Chip and Dale solving cases in more modern times. Maybe the show can even take place in the DuckTales world, and be a legitimate detective agency that is highly respected, and maybe the DuckTales crew shows up there one day. There's a lot of cool things they could do with a reboot, and I would be happy to see them do anything with the franchise, honestly.
2.
Recess. The show follows 6 4th graders, TJ, Vince, Spinelli, Mikey, Gretchen, and Gus, on their daily lives at school. And I know what you're thinking, school, how's that interesting? Well, the school is its own small society, and they have their own government, class system, and unwritten laws. And most of the stories are relatable kid things, like being the new kid in school, or being Jinx, but at a more exaggerated manner. It's a really fun show, and I think an updated version would work great. The show can tackle new kid issues like new technology in classrooms or schools banning Halloween costumes. They could even make the school bigger, maybe giving each grade their own territory, and making the school feel like several kingdoms making up one land. I think there are plenty of things they could do with the show to make it feel fresh and new, but still keep the spirit of the original. Gargoyles. This show is about ancient gargoyles who are alive at night but turn to stone in the day. The gargoyles were cursed to stay in their stone form until they were freed from their curse 1,000 years later in modern society. Well, modern society in the 90s. When making this list, I knew right away this would be my number one. I absolutely love this show. The show is amazing. It covers dark themes, has a rich mythology, and great character development. This really is one of Disney's greatest IPs that they are doing nothing with, and a reboot could totally solve that. Really, they wouldn't have to change much for a reboot. Just set it in more modern times and maybe having an endgame planned out for it. The original series was amazing, but it ended with a pretty bad season and had an overall mediocre ending. They had great stories, but it didn't seem like they had planned out the ending, so that is one thing that I want them to have for a reboot. Just a good ending planned out. Other than that, if they keep the spirit of the original series, anything they do should be fine. Well, that's it. The top 10 Disney cartoons that I think deserve a reboot. Do you agree with it, or do you think there are better Disney cartoons that deserve a reboot? Let me know in the comments below. Honestly, this was a hard list to make since Disney has so many cartoon shows that I love and would like to see get a reboot. Alright, as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.